Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time to ride along as we join the Raad Life in all its forms. It's all its friends, including one of our best friends from the show, Chef Pascal, who's back again today. Here, welcome, sir.
Hey, thank you, Paul. No, my favorite producer.
You know, when I was a kid, well, even not that long ago, one of Hollywood's favorite tricks is to start a show, a popular show, like Cheers, and then spin off another show like Frasier. Or when I was a kid, Andy Griffith's show spun off Gomer Pyle, and it was spun off from the Danny Thomas show. You know, so what they do is you'd see some episodes where they featured this new character, and then after a while, the new character would be in a new show. That's kind of what we've been doing here. We'll kind of disclose everything with Chef Pascal. There is potentially a new show coming on OC Talk Radio called what?
Chef Pascal Presents.
Chef Pascal Presents. What a perfect way
What
to
does that mean?
describe. What does that mean?
I'm going to tell you everything as much as I can.
Okay, all right. So let's reveal some of that coming show, Chef Pascal Presents. What is it you want to present?
Well, first, I love the Raad Life show podcast, and I have to
Been
thank
a popular feature for many years here in OC Talk
I
Radio.
want to thank my good friend Raad, and for give me the bug about being on the podcast.
Right.
And
to help launch it, he gave voice to it, and then that started to say, maybe I could turn this into my own voice.
he gave me the voice as a guest, and then he asked for my help when he could not do it, and then right now he's away for a couple of weeks. So so we had a brainstorm about, well, why don't we do something about more of a chef life?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
who else can talk more about chef life than me?
Well, let's just give everybody a quick summary again, because I don't think there's anybody. You're one of the OGs, the original gangsters, the original OCs, the original chefs when Orange County was a chef wasteland.
Don't say that too loud. Some people get upset about that.
Well, you and Bruno and a couple of people there were a few of you that kind of took this by the hand and said, Orange County needs to be more than fast food heaven.
We have to really look at the back of the history of a culinary world. All over the world, and also in the U.S., chefs were not as idoling like they are now.
No, I never knew any chef's name when I was a kid.
So now chefs are famous. They are public figures. They are and they go on TV, and thanks to Julia Child, who also was a pioneer.
There's a food channel that's made food stars out of all sorts of chefs across the world.
It did, and create a world, a world of I don't like the name of foodies,
right?
Because foodies for me is kind of vulgarizing the art of cooking.
Yeah, right.
So I will call it culinarian to be very.
Because you're French, you got to give it a fancy name here.
Culinarians is really people who love the culture of cooking and cook, and also like to travel and visit chef and meet chef. So they cook at home, or they're professional, and it doesn't matter as long as you cook, you're a culinarian. And it's like a writer, if you like to write a book or read a book, you have to do both.
Culinary to me is edible art, and I can't do it. I'm the first one to say I cannot cook anything. I can't boil an egg. I can't do anything.
Yes, you can boil it.
That's how bad I am. But I really appreciate, maybe because I can't do it, I really appreciate when others do it, whether it's my wife and people at home and at a party, or go to another level and go to chefs, places like yours, and that can be fun neighborhood things all the way up to Michelin star restaurants. I appreciate the art of cooking, the presentation of cooking. And I enjoy the experience of going out to dinner. So I'm one of those that you'd call a culinary or a culinarian?
Yeah, culinary, or you I will say you're a food enthusiast.
I'm food curious. I am
Food
always.
curious, okay,
I like
right,
that.
okay.
But there are those who have taken this another step. My late great friend John, who passed away a number of years ago, my childhood friend, he wouldn't go out to eat. He liked to do it himself,
Yeah.
and so he entertained all the time. He watched the food chef. He and his buddies, and they would try and recreate things or do things or get inspired. And for him, it was a home experience. He didn't like the experience of going out and have somebody else
Oh,
cook for him.
And it is. And actually, as we talk about home experience, I want to talk later about home cooking.
Yes.
Right?
Oh, you got some powerful
Yeah,
notes to talk
yeah.
about that. So,
So-
there is that world that he didn't like to go out, but he loved to entertain. He loved to eat. He loved to experiment. Loved to cook. And then there is a third world. I was privileged a little while. I was a restaurant writer for the Riverside Press Enterprise, so I got to feed my passion and experience it and go taste some of the world's greatest local
Yes.
food. You know, I didn't go around the world.
There's a flip side of that.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to, because I met in my career several food writers,
Mm-hmm.
and I say they enjoy that side of eating out, but sometimes it's not good. So,
Well, because you're analyzing everything. You can't
well,
just experience
but
it.
sometimes they don't have a good meal.
Oh,
So,
yes, right.
Because they used to be critics. So now, I don't critic. I go to places that I know it's going to be fine, and then I do a report.
Mm-hmm.
But so the show the spin-off show on the culinary formula.
Focusing the world from Raad covers the whole world. Anything that tickles his fancy and touches Orange County. This
Yes.
is a little more narrowing the focus of the lens down to food and
Rad shows it's about community, and the spin-off will be about the culinary community.
yes,
And especially
Well
in Orange
put.
County, we are a culinary village, a culinary town, a culinary county. And we're talking not only a cook, chef, servers, restaurant, we're talking about people, farmers, people that providers, suppliers of seafood, and even winemakers locally, and all
Good point.
that is very, it's broad. It's amazing.
Well,
broad
people
it
don't
is.
realize, you know, we obviously started as an agriculture county, Orange County, when there were orange groves everywhere. And then we were a farming community too. All the great ranches, Irvine and Moulton stuff, they were farmers first, and maybe growers second. And there still are people making wine here. There still are people
Yeah.
growing farm to table kind of stuff here, if not nearby.
I don't think we're going backward. I think we are getting back to our roots. And getting back to your roots is not really getting backward. It's actually recognizing that we have roots.
Yeah.
And then, so...
The one that brought that to my attention, maybe much of the world's, I don't know if you knew her at all, but Alice Waters from up in, what was it, I forgot.
Japanese.
Chez Panisse.
Maybe.
Up in, Berkeley or somewhere in that area. And she really was one of the first early voices I heard. There were many of you out there in the 70s into the early 80s talking about, let's get back to basic ingredients. Let's get away from heavy sauces. Let's get away from buttercream and all that kind of stuff. And let's get back to a simpler style of cooking.
Not to brag about it, but she was already a good cook, on food lover. But then she spent some time in France
Yes.
and came back about, wow, the French don't have to call their food farm to tables, because this is what they do.
They go down to the market and get what's
Yeah,
available and what's fresh.
That's it. Or they go in the front yard, the backyard.
Yeah, right.
So
Many chefs grow like little herbs and stuff in their.
So
around their-
she put a group of people together, and farmers and growers, and she got fresh food and fresh local fish and things like that, and make it simple.
Yes.
Just she mostly, a lot of our dishes actually were pretty much, in our restaurant she had a beautiful wood oven, and she baked a lot of stuff instead of just grilling and burning food. She just baked simply, or if she do some quick saute and to keep the seafood moist, something. She really gave us the chance to eat food was our natural flavors.
Yes, and took us away from the notion, which I don't want to offend you, but to me, when I grew up, French was fancy. It was unapproachable, lots of special sauces and stuff, and it was only at a white tablecloth restaurant.
Yeah.
I couldn't experience it at home. I don't know what ordinary French people ate. What I experienced in America was something that was very shishi, very unapproachable, very rich, very expensive, very
Actually, the French, when I was living in France with my family, with my parents, and we didn't go much to a fancy restaurant. You know? Fancy meals were only in special occasion, you know, family occasions, celebrations, and things like that. But still, if we can get together 20 or 25 people in your home, you're going to cook for them.
yeah.
No?
Let's talk about your mother a little bit, because you brought your mother's cookbooks
yes.
with you.
So-
some notes. So your mother was not
Well, this,
a professional chef, but she was a really good chef because she cooked every day for her family.
everybody, I say, it's kind of standard question. Say, why did you want to become a chef?
Yeah,
When did you
right.
learn to become a chef? And a lot of chefs, they will say 95% of them say, well, it's because my mother's cooking.
Yeah.
And
Which surprised me, because you would think, because my parents had a restaurant and I grew up in a restaurant maybe, or I was around restaurants a lot. No, it's because I experienced good food.
yeah, you experience good food, but you know, I'm sure your parents were cooking well at home. No?
Not my parents. Nothing
Sorry.
against my late great mother. She was a wonderful mother, wonderful person, but she cooked like most Midwestern housewives, boring and basic and burned. If it wasn't burned, it wasn't done.
But, you know, boring and basic is fine with me. Burn not, but
Yeah.
I will say, you know, and I'm going to come back to that because you always remember good, very good, or not too good. Mother's cooking is something you always remember, and you. Because there's one dish, there's something, there's a smell, you know, that
Yeah.
when you go back home and see your parents, your mother and your father or your family, whoever will cook for you, you are looking for that smell.
Yeah.
Because you memorize it.
My mother was the first, I think, of what many Americans have now experienced. That first suburban woman, who it was quick. It was a TV dinner style kind of stuff. You know, she had all the appliances, and so she was disconnected from her heritage of her mother's cooking. Her mother, my grandmother, wasn't necessarily a great cook, but she was a great baker. She loved pies, cakes, cookies, all that kind of stuff. And so she did that. She'd make a pie from scratch, unconceivable today. You know, she'd roll the stuff and make the dough and everything here.
You can do that.
My mother was, no, let's go buy the pie somewhere and just serve it. My mother was quick, and I don't know where that came from. That was kind of the ideal in the 60s, and it started in the 50s. It was quick and easy, and even TV dinner kind of stuff, you know, that you just heated it up and ate it.
More because it was a modernized time.
And so I grew up, I hate to say this, I didn't enjoy eating. Eating to me was just something you did to get it over with. So I eat quickly. It was hot dogs and hamburgers and steak, of course, tons of meat in the Midwest. And it was simple. It was, there wasn't anything I looked forward to. It was just, it wasn't until I came to California in the 80s and got involved in the entertainment industry. We're going out to restaurants. I'd never been out to restaurants. I'd never experienced Mexican food, Italian food, Japanese food, Vietnamese food. And I discovered a world of taste that I had never experienced. Our only flavor was salt. And it was very simple. It was very basic. It was what everybody grew up with in the Midwest. Kind of dull, boring kind of stuff here.
I understand.
They call it comfort food now, yeah.
Yes, I understand. But
Meatloaf was my mother's best dish.
oh, I love good meatloaf. The thing is, so back to my mother, and like other mothers,
This is in what part of France? You were near
Normandy.
Normandy. Okay.
and she cooked every day. Not much breakfast. because everybody go to work early,
Right.
and so everybody's a little
What
bit
did
on
your
his
dad
own.
do? What did he do for a living?
My dad had a couple of trucks and was a truck driver.
Okay, so simple.
And
And you lived in a
very
small
simple.
village somewhere, I take it?
Yeah, a little village. The business was right across our home,
Right,
and then so you just go out and work and come back later.
right.
Come back for lunch also because my mother was preparing lunch, and then go back to work and then come back for dinner, and then
That
so
whole idea, I can't imagine my dad coming home for lunch. My dad was, executive of Chrysler. He'd go out. He wouldn't come back until late at night. Left early in the morning.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know
but
anybody who
the
came home
business
for lunch.
was right there.
Yeah,
across
right.
the street.
No, it's a
So, what I really, really insist to tell our listeners and everybody, I always say, try to keep and ask your mother for if she has any recipes.
yeah.
If she has any recipe book.
In the old
any-
days, they used to write them down.
yeah, any place where she wrote it down. And my mother used to even watch TV show and make notes from the TV show and write down the recipes in a little notebook like this, And this is back to the 60s, and 60s, 70s, so a lot of very special. So it's very important that
And again, we do shows for like the Hispanic Chamber, and they talk about some of these people come in from Mexico, generations where recipes get passed down. Somewhere after World War II, that was broken. I don't think my mother had any of her grandmother's or mother's recipes. She didn't
Well-
think of recipes. She did a little bit. And today, my wife doesn't have a book of recipes or any of her mother's recipes or all that knowledge, that collective experience of cooking together and learning their recipes and learning their style. So much of that's been lost in modern America.
yeah, well, actually, that's why I'm trying to let people understand that they have to remember, if they can, to save and talk to your parents about the cooking. So beautiful writing. She writes recipes.
My mother did a beautiful handwriting. That was a sign of a good woman to be able to have good handwriting.
Yeah,
That was
amazing.
the nuns would make you do this
Yeah.
over and over again. My
And
parents
so
were Catholic.
this was the way I grew up with this.
Do you ever go back and look at that book and rediscover it or re-explore
yeah,
it?
oh yeah.
And where did she learn? Which did she learn from her mother, her grandmother?
Yeah, well, we used to mothers to daughters
Yeah,
used
right.
to teach each other. They used to teach life, and used to teach them how to sew, or to maybe do some first aid things, but they teach
To grow
them,
things, to do things, to make
all the
things.
housewife work. Mothers used to teach them that.
Right.
And to cooking that's why it's very important. If ever you see a cookbook or a notebook with recipes from your mother or grandmother sitting around, just
Don't toss them.
don't toss it, because you know what, this can go for the next generation.
If they want to. I don't know. Again, I can only talk of my own life and my own family and friends and stuff. I don't see much of that knowledge getting saved or passed along. I think modern girls are like modern boys. I don't know how to fix a car, and they don't know how to cook. The things that fathers used to teach their sons and mothers used to teach their daughters, I don't know if it gets done as much.
Paul, I'm more optimistic than that.
Okay.
So I believe there's kind of a resurrection of love for cooking, love for dining at home, love for people around the table, and
Clearly, the growth of things like the Food Channel and food magazines stuff have shown there is a hunger. There's a bad joke, but there is a hunger to get back to not just simpler cooking and comfort foods and stuff of our youth, but to learn how to do it again. people are rediscovering the art of winemaking
Yes.
and cooking and growing things and all this stuff that I think in my era got lost and got forgotten.
One thing that struck me in the last few weeks, watching some recent TV shows, most of the TV shows now who are family or co-workers, you know, that, they end up having conversation on the dining table.
Yeah.
And thank you for all these producer or movie producer or Hollywood to go back to this
The
moment.
center of the family. So I will talk, but there was a long gap. It started in the 50s when I was born and into the 60s especially. We did not sit together often as a family. We watched TV, the TV dinners,
Yeah.
TV trays, TV plates. TV was part of the dining experience, and so we weren't talking, we were watching. And what happened too often was we're all in a rush, we're on different timetables, we're on different schedules,
Yes.
and so we just grab and go kind of thing. And that experience of dining together had diminished by the time I started having children. We tried to insist upon it. Everybody has to sit down and put the tablets down and put the phones down and all sit together and experience a
Well,
communal.
let's try to go back to that.
I think they are very much so. Yeah.
Totally. And so
I'll tell you, I'm not going to try to talk about me, but I think I'm the problem. I think my generation was the problem. This aging baby boomers here, the suburban kind of generation, the TV generation. I did not know. When I went to college, somebody told me, and I'm in college in like the late 70s, at big college. Somebody told me, I met a kid who was from a farm, and he was talking about brown eggs. And I said, eggs aren't brown. I've seen eggs my whole life. They're white. And he said, all I knew is eggs came from the grocery store. I mean, I knew a chicken laid an egg, but I'd only ever seen white eggs in cartons at the supermarket.
Yeah.
I didn't know there were different colored eggs and different kinds of eggs and stuff. That's how isolated I was. I had never seen produce from a farm. I'd only ever seen things from a supermarket.
and things we came a long way.
Yeah, now people make their own bread at home. They
Yeah.
grow their own vegetables in their backyard. And there's a passion to get back to the roots, to feel the source where it came from, to go find it and pick it, not just to have somebody pull up in a truck and deliver it to you.
So
So there's a world that is reemerging. You want to explore that world and look at that world because that's the world you've never left. You were always fine in the kind of fine dining places. I assume you were always sourcing the stuff. You weren't just going to the purveyor and say, give me whatever you got. You wanted to look at it and taste it and touch it. And,
well, yeah, but that's you still have a way to control what you get. So if you don't like it, you reject it.
Right.
You know, and then the next time the food come perfect, but the ingredients come perfect. But what I want to say that I've been talking to chefs, and I wish they will be more proactive on that.
Mhm.
I would love, because chef, we all have a past connection with food and family, and regional cooking, home cooking. If they could put at least 2 dishes on their menus, that represents the cuisine of the young age.
And, you know, when I was a critic, I used to get criticism for this, but I didn't think I was there to find what's wrong with the restaurant. I was there to find what's right. So I might mention, well, this wasn't to my taste, or I wasn't sure about this, but so I wasn't just there to do what they call a puff piece. But I really wanted to find, and so I would tell people up front, I'm here to review your restaurant. Tell me what I should talk about. What are you proud of? What do you do? Tell me the story. So bring me something that's representative of this. Don't just bring me the same old stuff here that everybody else has got. Show me what you really are passionate about and what you specialize in, and let me write about that rather than the 4 boring things that you felt you had to add to the menu that maybe weren't that exciting.
Yeah, and you know, it's very important also that if you have chance to go to a restaurant and meet the chef,
Right.
and also or if you're a well-trained server, they can tell you, oh, this is the chef mother's recipe.
Yes, right, exactly.
Right away, you're curious.
Most critics had to be anonymous, and so they had experienced what the public did, and they would write about all the awful things they did. And I thought, well, how awful was that? They might be having an off night. And people were, I didn't think, were reading to see where not to go. They were seeing where to go, and if you did go there, what should I look for? And I found that every restaurant, and I had bad meals, I had good meals when I went out. But if I brought the chef out, they would come alive and say, well, don't focus on it. Let me show you this. This is what I really like. This is my mother's recipe. This is what I really believe in. And they could showcase what they were. And nearly always, that's what I wrote about.
Don't you think that's complete the experience? To know the dish was originally made, or part of it.
Yeah, where it came from. What's the
where it comes
story?
from.
Because I'm a
Yeah.
storyteller. So tell me
Yeah.
a story. Tell me the story of this dish.
Exactly.
Tell me the story of that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't see. I wasn't there just to be a anonymous reviewer and to find fault. I was there to find the story, and the story might be more than what's on the menu. And so I wanted to meet the chef, and I wanted to find out where it all came from. That's kind of what you're trying to do, to tell the story of these places.
And because we need stories, we need to stay connected with our parents, our past. And
Stories are what connect us with the world. The story of where we came from, the story of the country,
Yeah.
the story of this dish, the story of something here.
very important.
Maybe that's why I was a history major. I always wanted to hear the history and story of things here.
Very, very important. And so this is pretty
This is
much
the plan. Okay. Now you're going back. The plan's going to take a little while to execute because you're leaving. We want to record this right before you left. You're going back to France, back to your roots, back to your family.
Yeah.
And you see what? What do you spend 2 or 3 weeks traveling France with your wife? And
2 weeks. I'm taking a group of local Californian.
okay. So they
friend
get
and
the Chef Pascal's France.
Yeah,
They don't see the regular France. They see your France.
And we
right?
do a tour, and I will I will make them look at France maybe a different way because I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because
See it through your eyes and not
Yeah,
just
exactly.
a tourist eyes. France, to me, has gone through an evolution in modern America. Maybe this is more than we should talk about. But when I was a little boy, French was, chichi, the ultimate. Brigitte Bardot, you cooked for once. They were the sexiest women, the most interesting films, the most interesting people. Jackie Kennedy spoke French.
Yeah.
And when she went to France, spoke in French. There was something, we were fascinated with French and French culture and French cuisine and all that.
Yeah, like Calas.
And then, right, and then later on, France and the U.S. kind of had a colder period after de Gaulle and whatnot, and it cooled down, and I didn't see people studying French. I've heard people weren't fascinated with France to the same degree they were when I was a little boy. My dad just thought, anybody who could speak French was the coolest.
Well,
Summer language we became in love with. Now today it's British. Everybody has a British accent and British
so
thing.
We're going a little bit out of the subject, but
Right.
it's because everybody speaks English.
Yes, right.
And it changed the authenticity of when you go on vacation, to go somewhere, try to make yourself understood by
Right.
the locals.
Yes.
Anywhere in the world.
Right.
Because most of the world speak English. And so I think kind of destroy that charm of adventure.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
To go through the little villages of France or Italy or any of these places, not just France, but we became more focused. Today, I just find everybody's fascinated with everything.
And
English.
believe me, if you go to a bakery and buy a piece of bread, they won't laugh at you if you say, "How une baguette, s'il vous plaît."
That's right. Spit it out, stumble it out
Une
here.
baguette, s'il vous plaît.
Yeah, exactly.
Mais-
Well, s'il vous plaît, if you please, I can't wait for you to show us Orange County's current culinary world through your eyes, like you're taking people to show them the world of French through your eyes. And I think in so doing, you can report, because I think Orange County has grown up immensely. It was thanks to the efforts of people like yourself who came here and pioneered something other than what I grew up in, the American fast food world, and where slow and cooking and slow experience and a taste for things more than than hot dogs and hamburgers. And I think that is the world of Orange County now. It's evolved into a much more complex scene. Little ethnic restaurants all over the place popping up, like you've talked about, Rod's talked about, as well as some really great restaurants popping up. And I'd love to hear more about them and experience them.
We will. And I will bring in some chefs who have great new ideas, very entrepreneurial ideas, and also very...
I hope to bring some food. We can taste it. We can try it. We can experience it. We can see what it's like. Well, I look forward to launching this Chef Pascal sometime. So we're talking about maybe June, July, somewhere in there.
Present. I need to have a dish.
Oh, yes. That presents this person, presents this cuisine, presents this food.
We also want to talk about... a lot of people want to become a chef.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
A lot of people, unfortunately, call themselves chef.
Right.
They are not chef. So we will talk about that and all the steps, all the hard work you have to go through.
That's a world most of us don't understand. Anthony Bourdain touched on that. He came up through that world and got to a certain level on it. He wasn't necessarily a great chef or one of the great chefs,
but he went through the camp.
He went through all those experiences, started off in the kitchen and cleaned the dishes and all that hard work.
We need to put that back on the map, because you cannot wake up in the morning and say, tomorrow I'm going to be
And I think people think that they think I'll just go to a chef school for a week and suddenly I'll come out and cook for somewhere here.
So I'm here to put back some of the young chefs who think they can, put them back on the right track.
Yes.
So I will bring them
the best shows are when you take us into a world we don't know anything about, and that's what you can do through this show. You can take us into the back of these places, into the world of chefs, into the world of dining, and explore and explain and educate us as to what's out there, because we need a little bit of all. We need to explore it, we need to explain it sometimes, and we certainly need somebody who will guide us in this discussion here. I thank you for doing that.
Yeah, some young chefs now are becoming entrepreneurs.
Oh, more than ever. Yeah, that's the goal immediately, to get your own place. Yeah.
But they never had the chance to. They don't have a MBA. They need to learn all these things as well.
And it's a rough world. I can't tell you how many restaurants fail. It's got to be one of the highest percentages of any business here. It's like 95%, some shocking number. And maybe it's because they don't start with enough background and experience. They just have an idea and they throw the doors open.
But the best thing we can do, go out and eat.
Go out and eat. All right. Well, I'm going to do that right now. It's around lunchtime, so that's my thought. How do they reach you if they want to learn more about Chef Pascal and other ventures you're doing at this point in your life here?
On my website at pascalcuisine.com.
Pascal, Pascal, pascalcuisine.com.
Yes.
All right, thanks. We look forward to, and we thank Rod, again, a tip of the hat for allowing us the time on his show to curate, to simmer, to develop a flavor for this, and to find give birth to a spin-off here.
Something is simmering.
Something simmering, and we're about to bring it to boil here. All right, thank you so much for joining us.